Welcome back to Sportz Blitz Live. Luke Robinson here. This segment brought to you by Russell Medical Center. Well, we've got a very special guest. This is a lot of fun for me. I'm a big Food Network fan. You can tell I don't miss many meals. And I've got with me now Rob McDaniel, who's the head chef at SpringHouse Restaurant in Alexander City. And Rob, we're so glad to have you on with us tonight. Thanks so much.
Happy to be here.
Well, listen, Rob, the reason, of course, you know that we're having you on is, first of all, it's your birthday. And, I mean, why not have you on your birthday? I think that's fantastic news, and happy birthday to you. But secondly,
I appreciate that.
Secondly, you were chosen to be a member of Chris Hastings' staff on Iron Chef America. And I think that is the coolest thing that you could have possibly ever done. And that had to be just an absolute thrill for you.
It was. It was a lot of fun. I've known and worked for Chris for a long time. I worked for him at Hot and Hot for about 3.5 years, and then he's a consultant for Russell Lands and helped in the beginning stages of SpringHouse and get it off the ground. And June, he called me and asked me what I was doing July the 4th, and I told him, I said, well, you know, it's busy here at the lake on the 4th of July, and we both kind of chuckled, and that's when he asked me, he said, well, do you want to go on Iron Chef with me? And of course I said yes, and so from then we started a plan.
So you did this way back in July? Wow, I didn't realize it was that long ago.
It was a while back, so I've had to keep the secret for a long time, and until it came out, we couldn't even say who we went against. And of course, now we're going against Bobby Flay, and it's on the internet, so we can talk about that now. But we still can't tell who won or what our secret ingredient was.
Okay, and that's first of all, I got several questions here. But first of all, is the competition really as chaotic as it looks like it is on TV? I mean, and I know that for the cameras, they're able to edit it and make it look like there's so much going on, but is it really that way?
It is. There are several things that, it's television, so there are going to be things that aren't exactly the way that they're portrayed on television because, that's just reality. But when they say go, it's 1 hour from that point, and you don't have any more time than that. So it is, but, as I said, I've worked with Chris for a long time. Chris is a great organizer and planner, and from day one, he had it planned of what we were going to do, and we practiced that every day. We practiced Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, from 6 to about 11 o'clock in the morning, and then we all ran our own businesses on top of that. And so it was a crazy month, but it paid off when we got there. We didn't go to win or lose. We went for the experience. So it wasn't about winning or losing for us. It was about going and enjoying the experience, and that's what we did. So it was a great time.
Okay, for those out there who know anything about Iron Chef America, you know that you mentioned earlier the secret ingredient, and at the very beginning of the show, the challenger is brought out. He chooses a chef to go up against, and then they're introduced to this secret ingredient that must be incorporated into all the dishes. And the question I have, and this, I feel sort of dumb even asking it, but you have to at least have a pretty good idea of what the secret ingredient is, or at least know it's going to come from one of a few choices. There's no way you can go in there, in my opinion, without knowing any idea of what this secret ingredient is. It has to be incorporated into all your dishes.
Well, there's a very broad idea of what it might be, and several ideas of what it might be. We talked to several people that had been on before. We talked to Mike Latta, who owns Fig Restaurant in Charleston. We talked to him a lot, and they gave him the same broad idea that they gave us, and 2 days before they changed on him. And so, you really don't know. It's more so getting ready for the scenario of what's going to happen. We had basic ideas of what we were going to do for each dish, no matter what it was, and we could adapt each thing to fit the need. And so that's what we practiced, and we practiced it every day. We took pictures of it. We were hard on one another, and that's how we went about our day every day when we practiced. And so it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but we enjoy what we do, and so that's what we like to do. So it was a lot of fun.
What were the personalities like? Of course, Alton Brown is the host of the show, and he's pretty quirky. I mean, people may recognize him. I think he's a spokesman for, I believe it's Welch's or one of the grape companies I know. And then he's also got his own show on Food Network called Good Eats, and he's the host of the show and a little bit off the wall, but very knowledgeable about food in general and really the science and even some of the history of food. And then I think it is Mark Daskos, am I pronouncing that correctly, who is the what they call the chairman, who actually starts the show off after the secret ingredient is introduced. He's the one who yells out, "Allez cuisine," gosh, I couldn't say that, "Allez cuisine," and you guys get started. I mean, you had to laugh a little bit when he does that. He does it with a lot of flair, there's no doubt about it. But talk about the personalities on the show.
It is, there are a lot of personalities, and Alton Brown, actually, I went to the same culinary school that Alton Brown did, so I've had the opportunity to meet him before, and so he is kind of a scientific guy on the food side of things, and food, if you really dig into it, is actually very scientific. A lot of folks don't dig that deep, which he does, and so it's kind of neat to watch his shows and also to talk to him. And then the chairman, he is kind of very dry, and he says what he says, but he had a very unique personality. He would, you could tell that he was kind of cracking jokes with folks on the folks that he works with every day. They were cracking jokes together behind the scenes and things like that. So that was fun to see. And of course, the judges that we had, it was kind of neat. We got to hang out with them right before we went out on the kitchen stadium. So the three of us, and then Bobby Flay and his two sous chefs, and all three judges were all in one room together, and we kind of stood there for a good 15 minutes and just kind of talked. It was a lot of fun.
I mean, it's just so neat. And then, of course, one of your judges is a pretty famous actor, and usually what they do is have two food guys as judges and then one sort of wild card who's typically a celebrity, maybe an actor, maybe a sports personality, what have you. And in this case, you had Anthony Anderson. A lot of people may recognize that name from the Law & Order series, which is he got in on that sort of at the tail end of that series, but he, again, still a very famous actor. What was it like talking to him, and were you impressed by his knowledge of food?
Absolutely. He was very funny and fun to be around. And actually, Donatella, one of our other judges, my sous chef at the restaurant, Russell Bodner, used to work for her for a long time. And when we could finally talk about who the judges were, he kind of smiled. He goes, "I knew that she was a judge because she's on there all the time." And so that was fun. But they were all, they were very, they were nice folks. And when carrying on conversation with them, they didn't, at no point in time was it like, we're your judges and we're about to critique you. And they were just down-to-earth folks and there to have a good time just like we were.
Well, you took on probably the most famous of all the competitors in Iron Chef. I mean, Bobby Flay, look, he's got so many shows on Food Network, it's hard to count, and he's a really fun guy, and what he strikes me as is incredibly down-to-earth in terms of approachable. I know that my mother-in-law, I believe, was able to see him at one of his restaurants and get a book signed for her mother, and he's just a great guy. I've heard nothing but fantastic things about him, and when you watch his shows, you really seem like that you would like him if you met him. What was it like dealing with Bobby Flay?
We didn't really spend much time with Bobby Flay. We got there that morning and we went about our day, and then they filmed the part of picking who they were going to go against early in the morning, and there were several different things that they did before we went on, and so we had found out who we were going to go against, and we were actually going to our green room, and Chris had already picked and everything, and so he looked at me and he said, "Hey, let's go say hello to Bobby." And so we walked in, and he walked up and slapped him on the back and said, "Hey, I'm Chris Hastings," and introduced us. And he said, "We're going to be going against you today, and good luck." And he just had this look on his face, like, who are these people from Alabama that were about? He didn't really say anything. He said hello and good morning, and that was about it. But after it was all said and done, we shook hands and had a minute to talk. And he's a nice guy. As most folks in the industry, very busy and have a lot going on. So, we didn't small talk a lot, but the conversation that we did have was good.
Well, Rob, I'm going to tell you right now, the whole community's proud of you, and we certainly do appreciate your going there and representing Alexander City and the Lake Martin area very well. And the episode airs on February 26th at 9 p.m. on the Food Network. And Rob, I can't wait for it. I'm glad you didn't give us any spoilers. I don't want any. I want to be glued to my television set just like everybody else around here.
Good deal. That's what I told my wife. We had to sign a confidentiality agreement, and it was $1 million. And she tried to get me to tell her, and I told her no. I said that'll cost too much money. Not to mention, I want her and everybody else to have the same experience that I was able to have, and I think everybody will. It was a lot of fun.
Rob McDaniel, the general manager and the executive chef over at SpringHouse Restaurant down there at the Crossroads, and it's a fantastic place to go eat. It's a lot of fun. And Rob, thanks so much for being with us. And look, we may have you on again closer to the episode, or maybe right after the episode. Maybe you could fill us in on some behind-the-scenes stuff.
Absolutely. I'd love to, Luke. Thanks for having me on.
That was Rob McDaniel. We certainly do appreciate his being with us. We're going to be back in just a minute with more Sportz Blitz Live.